Today I'll speak on the relationship between cinema and literature. The title of my lecture is Cinema is a New Language. Traditional theories of film language and film grammar need to be re-examined and related to the established discipline of linguistics. The debate which has arisen in France and Italy around the work of Roland Barthes, Christian Mates, Paolo Pasolini, and Umberto Eco points in this direction. Cinema is a language in the postmodern theory of aesthetics. In the context of hyper-reality, the mass media will dominate the future generations. The jumping together of arts and sciences to the aesthetics of futuristic postmodern hyper-creative process of consilience will be investigated. Cinema is a new audio-visual language, almost at par with verbal language in the complexity and range of its uses, directly involving the sense organs of seeing and hearing. It has a deep, sublime grip on human consciousness. The main impulse behind the work of these critics and semiologists spring from Ferdinand de Saussure's course in general linguistics. After Saussure's death in 1913, his former pupils at the University of Geneva collected and collated his lecture outlines and their own notes and synthesized these into a systematic presentation, which was published in Geneva in 1915. In the course, Saussure predicted a new science, the science of semiology, a science that studies the life of science within society is conceivable. It would be part of social psychology and consequently of general psychology. Semiology should know what constitutes science and what laws govern them. The semiologists found themselves limited so much micro languages as the language of traffic signs, the language of ships, signaling systems, the language of gesture among Trappist, monks, and so on. These micro-languages proved in extremely restricted cases capable of articulating a very sparse semantic range. Roland Barthes, as a result of his researches into the language of costume, concluded that it was impossible to escape the pervasive presence of verbal language. Even highly developed and intellectualized systems like painting and music constantly have recourse to words, particularly at a popular level. Songs, cartoons, and posters. Indeed, it would be possible to write the history of painting as a function of the shifting relations between words and images. The need of the hour is to have science of characters, comprising the study of the whole range of communication within the visual sensory band, from writing, numbers, and algebra through to the images of photography and the cinema. Within this band, it will be found that signs range from those in which the symbol aspects is clearly dominant, such as letters and numbers. Cinema is an entirely new art. It has emerged as an unprecedented challenge and astonishing opportunity in the postmodern scenario. Cinema is not simply a new art, it is also an art which combines and incorporates others, which operates on different sensory bands, different channels, using different codes and modes of expression. It poses in the most accurate form the problem of the relationship between the different arts, their similarities and differences, the possibilities of translation and transcription. There is a tremendous relation between philosophical and historical contexts, reviewing psychosexual, psychosocial, learning and socio-cultural theories in cinema and literature, realism and modernism, postmodernism and mass culture. Whether the creative work is an oil painting, a musical score, a piece of literature, or a motion picture film makes little difference. The true test of any original work is the influence it has on the emotions, the methods used within the art form to influence. These emotions are merely techniques of the creator. In films, many techniques are combined to influence the audience, the story, the theme, and its universality, or its pointed approach to a particular type of a spectator. The sincerity of the acting, the staging, and visual techniques of the director, use of silent shots, the honesty of the sets and props, the photographic lighting, and the composition of the individual scenes. All these factors can influence the emotions of the audience. In a good film or a great film, they are so interdependent that they can hardly be separated. Each depends upon and supplement the other, and it is the sum total of their effects that grips the audience. Magnificent dialogues and acting performed upon a bare Shakespearean stage will excite the intellectual curiosity of select audience, but that is not the purpose of the motion picture film. The motion picture should be a journey into reality. The audience should live the experience. It should become a part of the story. But the medium can achieve that reality only when the varied techniques of the many crafts engaged in making the film are perfectly blended. Thus, the visual techniques employed by the director depend upon the mood, the theme, and the actors. The same technique, when employed with one sequence, will secure one result. In another sequence, they will have an entirely different result. There are 4 basic visual techniques which can be used to influence the emotions. 2 of them, the cut and movement, are basic continuity techniques. The other 2, composition and lighting, are primarily audience appeal techniques. The first 2 are planned by the director and executed or controlled in great measure by the editor. The latter 2 are planned by the director and executed to a great extent by the cameraman. Thus, to achieve the fullest measure of perfection, the director must be a leader as well as an artist, and the editor and the cameraman must be cooperative workers as well as artistic technicians. Cinema expresses through sound, movement, and visuals. It connects the psychoanalytic language of sound and gestures in the same way as a poet creates his own language. There is a parallel movement in the realm of cinematic art. With the change in technique, there is a change in thematic perception also. Cinema is a visual medium. From the days of silent era to modern times, cinema has been able to communicate through its images, assimilating sound, movement, and so many arts and sciences to fullest use. The great theatre director Grotowski has commented that he needs for his third theatre only actors and spectators. For cinema, texts are only guidelines and nothing else. Cinema has its own anatomy. Cinema is a violent assault on the senses and mind. Cinema has its own language with perfection for non-verbal code. The new experiment in cinema takes you to roots of silence and transcends you to a deep meditation. Thank you.